Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Brunch Connect virtual table. For those that this is their first time joining or those that have been joining us for a while now, we're always grateful for you to take time out of your day to be a part of these conversations. These virtual tables exist to bring us together through connection, conversation, and community. These are the three pillars that really continue to guide the movement that Parisa and I are building with the help of all of you. And today we're stepping into a conversation that reflects an important part of building and scaling a business. And this is all going to be around marketing.
Yes. Well, before we dive in, we want to recognize the partners and sponsors who help make this space possible. Our annual sponsors, shout out to Curaleaf, MJ BizCon, Pompanio Injury Law, and Hephaestus.
We can't forget also our annual partners. They are the ones that also help us continue to believe in this community and grow alongside us. That is IMA Financial Group, Align Prints, Canasite, and Event High.
Yes, thank you to our partners. Here's how today will flow. We'll begin with our blunt conversation, and then we're going to open the floor for some Q&A and community conversation. We're going to take a quick group photo. Gotta always get a photo for the gram. And then we'll close with updates and announcements.
Today's blunt conversation is something I think a lot of us feel, but don't always say out loud. Marketing is often the first thing that gets cut, questioned, or deprioritized when things get tight. It's treated like a nice to have, something you invest in later when there's more time, more budget, or more certainty. But in reality, marketing isn't optional, it's foundational. It's how people find you, how they remember you, how you stay relevant in a market that's constantly evolving. And especially right now when markets are shifting, budgets are tightening, and competition is growing, the brands that continue to show up intentionally are the ones that are gonna win. Not because they're louder, but because they're consistent, clear, and strategic. So today is about shifting how we think about marketing. But first up, let's meet our speakers.
Yes, we're so excited to announce we have Kim McNab. It's my pleasure to introduce her. She serves as the Vice President of Trade Marketing at Canopy USA, a powerhouse collective of iconic brands, including The Botanist, Jetty Extract, Superflex, and Wana. With over 15 years of experience in the CPG space, including leadership roles at Curaleaf and Red Bull, Kim brings a deep understanding of how to build, position, and scale brands in a highly competitive market. Since entering the cannabis industry in 2019, she has played a key role in shaping national trade marketing strategy, building high-value partnerships, and developing go-to market programs that drive both visibility and revenue across diverse markets. Kim is known for her ability to combine strategic thinking and strong relationship building, creating alignment between brands, retailers, and consumers in a way that delivers real impact. Her passion for the plant, the people, and the future of the industry continues to fuel her work and the partnerships she builds along the way. Please join me in welcoming Kim. So excited.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And next up, it's an honor to introduce Courtney Brown. Courtney is the Chief Marketing Officer at Mediajel, where she leads content-driven demand generation for brands operating in complex, highly regulated industries. Her work sits at the intersection of strategy, data, and storytelling, helping companies turn insight into real, measurable growth. She specializes in building marketing systems that don't just create visibility, but drive sustained pipeline, ensuring that messaging, content, and performance are all working together to support long-term business goals. What makes Courtney's perspective so valuable is her ability to cut through the noise and focus on what actually works. She helps teams move beyond scattered marketing efforts and into clear, aligned strategies that are built to scale. So with that being said, please join me in welcoming Courtney.
Yes, really excited to be here. Thank you.
Let's jump right into our blunt conversations then. We'll kick it off with a question for Kim. In a competitive and evolving market, how do you ensure your brands stay visible and top of mind, not just with consumers, but with retailers and partners as well?
Yes, that's a really, really good question. I think that's the million-dollar question, right? I think with the consumer piece,
Having a big focus on meeting consumers where they already are. I think showing up at the right events where your consumers are at, showing up digitally where your consumers are at. We know people spend a lot of time on social media following people, right? Having, the right partnerships with influencers or having the right brand content. So as they're scrolling, right, they're re-seeing your brand. I think for retailers and partners, you've got to make it really easy for these partners to kind of give them the toolkits that they need to sell your product. So I think brands stay top of mind in retail channels with buyers as well, a variety of ways, right? I think visually on the shelf, like you've got to have good POS, right? For the people that are in the store, your brand needs to look clean. It needs to have the right education. It needs to pop on shelf. You need to have the right SKU assortment. And then also digitally online, your menu listing. A lot of people never make it into the store ever. So how your products show up on the online menus, right? Do you have the right product descriptions? Is it the right menu imagery, right? Where are you listed on the website? We have a product, one of our brands, Wana, it starts with a W. So it's like we have to some of these sites rank them alphabetically. So how do we get Wana, closer to the top, right? So it's really kind of understanding for the retail partner, right? It's in store, it's online. And then as well, it's like the bud tender, how do your brands stay top of mind with retailers? It's their staff, right? Making sure that their staff has product samples. I truly believe if you've got a great product, sample the staff, let them try it, let them experience it, let them taste the flavors, like let them have their own personal experience with it so that they can then relate that to the consumer. I also think that education is paramount, right? We're trying to, what's separating, what sets your brand apart, what makes it unique. What are your RTBs or your reasons to believe in this product, right? So it's really focusing on education with the staff, the product sampling, and giving the buyers like a plethora of resources that you're going to help them, sell through their product, right? So what trade programming are you going to offer? Can you do pop-ups and education? Can you do consumer giveaways? Like all of these things work together to help your brand stay top of mind for a buyer and as well as a bud tender, right? Those are the two things you really need to influence because they're your brand advocates when you're not in the store. They're the ones speaking about your brand. They're the ones talking about your brand. So like, how do you win them over and build that loyalty with them to represent you and turn them into brand advocates?
I love that because it's so true. Every time I walk into a dispensary, it's like, what do you like? Like I always ask the bud
Yeah.
tender, they are your first line of defense, I guess. If they love the product, they'll tell the consumer about it. So
Yeah.
I love that.
I love how you mentioned too, like getting in front of these bud tenders because what we're seeing at Event High is a lot of brands are doing that. They're catering, creating small pop-ups for bud tenders specifically. I even saw today, most recently, C Talent's hosting like a bud tender awards, and it's really
Yeah.
driving that education to making sure that bud tenders feel like appreciated for their effort, for the knowledge that they're learning, and for representing around these brands. So I think there's
Yeah.
definitely, unique ways to tap into these products behind the bud tenders and informing them.
They carry a lot of influence. They really, really do. Even if it's like someone's coming in for something, even when I'm in an account, I'm always like, hey, what's new? Like, what do you guys have? Is there anything new on the shelf? Like, what's exciting? What's everybody trying right now? So although you may be going in there for something, your one thing that you love and your favorite sleep gummy, but it's always like, hey, what else is new? People are always asking them. And I even ask every time I do store visits, I'm like, what percent of people ask you guys for recommendations and staff picks? They're like 90, like a lot of people are coming in because they truly, they don't know what's out there and there's so many new products. So they really want to be guided. And that kind of goes back into your visual merchandising, right? Do you have the right education? Do you have the right product messaging on your displays that also help, further communicate and build those brands if someone's just kind of a looky-loo and shopping around?
Mhm.
Um, we'll keep the conversation going and head over to Courtney. What does it actually look like to build a marketing system that supports consistent growth rather than relying on these one-off campaigns or reactive efforts?
I think one of the biggest mindset shifts is realizing that marketing is not a series of isolated tactics. A blog post isn't a strategy. An Instagram post or organic Instagram is not a strategy. A one-off campaign doesn't equal a strategy. The strategy is the system behind everything. And it is going to align with your specific goals, right? Are you focused on retention, win back? Or maybe you're launching a go-to-market in a brand new state. All of those are going to function differently. The strongest brands build connected ecosystems where every touch point really works together. The content strategy feeds your SEO and your rankings, your AEO, GEO, whatever they're calling it these days. There's a million names. SEO is going to feed your email acquisition. Email is going to feed your retention. Advertising is going to reinforce the awareness that your brand has. Attribution is going to help you understand what's actually driving revenue. So when teams operate reactively, they're going to be always starting from zero. When you build a system, your marketing effort is going to compound over time. And that's where the consistency comes from. It's not always having the biggest budget, but having alignment and a repeatable infrastructure. You have to make sure that I always call it like the rising tide lifts all boats. You want to make sure that you're working on your brand awareness, that you're making sure your brand is pulled through into the messaging that's on your website and that's pulled through onto your packaging, right? All of those things, they're all tied. It's how your consumers experience who you are. And I'm mostly focused on advertising in my job. So, how are we engaging with the audiences that you want to connect with and making sure that that messaging is coming through? And a one-off campaign is never going to be a solution unless you're a very large established brand, right? Where you can get excited with testing a specific tactic. When you're building a company, you need to make sure that you have a steady flow, that you're analyzing all of your data, and that you understand what is going to move the dials so that you don't have to be reactive.
See, from an advertising perspective, then you also have to see every brand, their audience is somewhere different, right? Like some will work on social media advertising, some will work in, maybe a commercial on a radio. Like a lot of them don't have these budgets. So are you kind of guiding them into the one that you think is the best for their budget, or are you trying to get them to try everything slowly and see? I don't know how to express this
Yeah,
question.
no, no, I know exactly what you're asking. So, depending on what kind of business you have, you need to understand like what you should be building first, and there's phases. And I'm going to focus on your digital marketing strategy because that's where I excel, right? There, you always want to be building your SEO first. Brands so underinvest in their SEO, not only in how long it takes, but how much money it takes to do that. Um, that's the biggest, that's the marathon, right? That's going to help you win on search. Then there's the layers of paid advertising or organic social, right? Sorry, you have to own that. You got to make sure that you're, creating engaging content with your community and building your community. And that's been tough for cannabis businesses because of, getting taken down and et cetera. Um, the next stage of really how you would build your strategy is going to be like, where's the paid come in? Do we launch Google Ads as a short term to increase revenue while we're waiting for SEO to really kick in, right? And then you can start thinking bigger about media spends. There's CTV, digital out of home, native, online video, display. There are a lot of tools and tactics that are available to your business, but it depends on what cycle is your business in? Like, where are you? Are you really starting from scratch, or are you growing? Are you entering a new market? Versus how much money you have to spend and what levers you can pull to, make the most of the impact that you have with the kind of budgets you have. Also, market maturity, right? What market are you actually operating in? You need to think about all of these things. And what I do every day is help meet with brands and retailers and really analyze their businesses and help them understand how to build out a strategy and what levers to pull so that they can meet their goals. That answer your question well enough?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how many people are building e-commerce strategies, but I built out a whole cannabis marketing academy, and you can go, I can drop a link in at the end of the session, but building out your e-commerce marketing strategy is going to be the top thing that you need to do, and it gives you kind of a step-by-step rundown on how to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, please drop that link so that everybody can get some more information there. But great answers. Thank you so much for your share. Next question is for Kim. How do strong partnerships and trade marketing strategies directly impact brand growth and market share?
So I think with partnerships in general, there's still a lot of red tape, right? There's still a lot of brands out there that are like, oh, should we be associated with cannabis or not? Are we there yet? Like they're a little hesitant to post, if you were doing a collab, they're a little hesitant to post it on their own channels, but you can post it on your channel, right? So I think finding the right partners and showing up again at the right event. A lot of cannabis companies and brands have tapped into artist relationships, right? They do artist collabs. And I think what it does, right, is it's exposing your product to a whole community of people because they follow that artist, right? So you have co-marketing opportunities when you're tapping into something that has nothing to do with cannabis, right? And you're accessing that person or group or brand or company's following and they're now seeing your product as well and they're like, oh wow, I never knew of this artist or I never knew of this cannabis brand. What is this? It's piquing their interest. So I think it's really awesome when people do partnerships well, right? I know, there's some brands that do it really well, and then there's some brands that don't. But I think we launched a product a couple of years ago at a big music venue. It was a hemp product in Texas, and we were the exclusive hemp drink, and it exposed us. There was 2,500 people per show 4 nights a week, right? And you're putting your product, and all of these people now all of a sudden can order your product, can interact and drive trial with your product through the partnership that we developed with them. So it can be incredibly impactful, and it's a great way to drive awareness, and it's a great way to drive trial. There's still a lot of red tape around it, but again, I do think like finding the right ones, it's an incredibly value added way to get your brand in front of more people.
I love that because I think a lot of cannabis brands sometimes will like hire artists and instead maybe like going to the artist event and supporting the artist would bring more of that artist, you know what I mean? Like network. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Going back to Courtney. So, Courtney, how should founders and teams think about using data to guide their marketing decisions, especially when resources are limited?
This is a great question because everybody is dealing with this at all times, but especially in the cannabis market right now. I actually think that limited resources make data even more important. When budgets are tight, you can't afford to market based on assumptions, and vanity metrics are going to get you nowhere, right? The biggest mistake I see with brands or retailers are they're focusing only on impressions or clicks or follower growth. And especially, oh my gosh, only net new. I only want net new customers, or I only want to see ROAS. You can't make those kinds of assumptions unless you really understand or meet those kinds of KPIs, I should say, and unless you understand or have built out an engaging full funnel customer experience. Everybody's heard of the buyer's journey. But you need to be asking, did this campaign drive repeat customers? Did it increase average order value? Did it improve retention? Did it bring higher quality customers? You need to get more specific, right? Impressions, clicks, ROAS, those are all good things to be looking at, but you have to refine the strategy behind your campaign and really understand the data that you're going to need to be able to make smarter marketing decisions. So the goal really is you have to get very good at tracking everything from day one. You have to create enough visibility to confidently decide where you can double down and where you might need to stop not wasting money, but stop spending for the interim if you need to pull back. It's not always easy to do this, but you need to make sure that you're set up on, Google Analytics, Google Search Console, all of the platforms that are available to you. If you work with a company, like a marketing agency, they need to be able to answer those questions for you, right? They need to be able to be tracking those metrics for you and they need to provide them to you.
Great feedback. Thank you so much, Courtney.
We can open up the show floor. I did see a question come through.
Well, I've been doing SEO since The gold rush days of the domains when you would suck up all the domains you possibly could that were one or two words simply back when prior to the aughts, you could say. But I see how things constantly change and shift. And there's also a doxing thing about cannabis. So how do you get around that? Where some places like LinkedIn seems friendly to cannabis, but other places like the Meta, TikTok, they won't even anything to do with cannabis, they stay away from. And we all know it's medicine. So how do we get our medicine into the hands of the mainstream world without getting doxxed left and right?
There's so many, this is what I spend this is my life work. How to help brands and retailers reach their audiences in a compliant way. And there are ways to do that. SEO is certainly one of them. Organic social is another. Display advertising or programmatic advertising is you can show cannabis depending on what state you're in. You can talk about discounts. You can be forthcoming with your brand. So programmatic is an avenue, not one that I would recommend for someone just starting out. Certainly, there's a time and a place for display advertising budget, but there are channels that are available to you. If you are a team of one, or just a few, SEO is a huge asset to you, and building that organic social community as well. Unfortunately, if you get taken down, it's just like the world that we live in right now. But Media Gel, and I'm not trying to here to pitch myself. There are agencies that you can work with in the space that do know how to run like Google ads compliantly or cannabis meta ads. You just need to find the right partner and ask the right questions and make sure that they have the right connections in case something does get taken down, that they can get you reactivated.
We have another question. I don't know if Kim, before we jump to the next question, by Joyce, did you have anything to add?
I have I guess a question too, for Courtney is how is AI shaping SEO now, right? Like now are they leaning into the chat GPTs, like are they asking questions in new places? Is that an easy answer at this point with these all the AI involvement? I would wonder if that's something that's challenging or if there's some thoughts on
The,
AI.
the basic the basic like SEO fundamentals are still going to apply, but the way that you set up the content on your page has changed slightly. Some of those are more question-based headers, right? Like at the bottom of the of key pages, you need to have FAQs. Content syndication is a huge piece here. Reddit, like going onto Reddit and knowing what are they saying about Jetty? What's happening on these different subreddits, owning your brand subreddit and communicating with people on there. What I do, and I'm B2B, okay, so I handle B2B for Mediajel, but I also work with our clients to run that B2C strategy. So I've got the whole view here. But I use Reddit to you do content syndication for my marketing academy or like key pieces of content that I want to push out there. So you really need to look at the mediums of the world, the Quora. I don't really like Quora, but you need to make sure that your content is in multiple places because it's going to fan out and scan, and you want to make sure that your website is easy to read from LLM perspectives and that you have content in a variety of different places. YouTube is also a really, really great spot. There's so much more that we could get into, but at the very basis, that is going to be like the low-hanging fruit.
I know one thing, Prisa and I learned that you can get an agent and build it to know about your brand
Oh,
completely.
yeah.
And then people can, like, if they have questions, it'll get them to that agent, and that could be another tool too.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
going through this AI component, bringing it into Bone Brunch, and I know you're,
AI is
you're
wild.
muted,
We're
Prisa.
thinking over AI. We're like, how do we tap
Yeah.
into this, lean into it, and really make it ours and have it help us? Like it's the way we're going. We can't be scared of it. We gotta learn how to use these things.
Hmm. Definitely.
Um, We do have one more question from Joyce.
Thank you. Well, I'm officially scared of AI, so whatever. So I don't really have a business. I am a podcaster, and I just wrote a book, A Cannabis Romance. Thank you. Adelia's in it. Her beautiful words are there. Anyways, I had a podcast. Marketing is my least favorite thing. It actually, social media makes me nauseous. I'm 61 years old. I don't like any of this, but I am back in the world of marketing because I have this book and I want to be that crossover person, you know? Like, how do I get into, like, my cannabis friends know about the book. It's a cannabis romance. We're like using a cannabis consumer as a heroine, sprinkling all sorts of cannabis in there. But I want to be this crossover person who's like, it isn't scary. Like, I could, I don't know, ideas. How do I get more out there? Like, the cannabis thing, I had a podcast, so social media, it doesn't work for me. I can't be on YouTube or TikTok. Well, YouTube I am, but TikTok, but I do a lot of personal things. So I don't know. Any suggestions?
You could create a variety of Claude skills that break down chapters of your book, and you can create an AI version of yourself. Because unfortunately, Joyce, I don't like social media either. Like the second I am gone for the day, I don't even look at it. I have messages from like a year ago from my friends. So I get it, but in this world that we live in right now, you have to be utilizing it, or you're going to get left behind. And you can use AI to your advantage in this particular case and just have it spit out videos of you, a little avatar of you talking about the different chapters or whatever the messages that you want to get behind, and disseminate that across YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, whatever channels are, the best for you.
All right.
Sorry, Kim, I've kind of like taken over. Do you have any ideas?
No, you're good. I mean, the other thing I would say is, if there's gifting opportunities, right, get your book out there in some key people's hands, right, at some events. I would put it in front of like hitting where the community is, right? If there's a gift basket of some sort where you can donate some product to put it in some people's hands, whether it's media or PR, influencers, right? Like playing in those spaces. And there's so many gifting suites tied to events. Even like working with I don't know if like in dispensaries that if you partnered with a brand and they could do bud tender incentives or pack that into some of the gifting or seed talent courses or some of these other platforms where you're like, hey, I'd like to donate some product for like, what opportunities do you have? I'd like to just put my book in the hands of people that consume the product daily and talk about it, and it's part of their world. And then that message can kind of get out word of mouth, just by that gifting and that organic push of exposing it more.
I feel so much more comfortable with your suggestion. I can do that. With yours, I'm like, oh my God, my heart is pounding. I feel a little nauseous. So,
Oh, it's so easy. It's so like it is shockingly easy to go into Claude and say, create a skill to do this, this, and this, and then it just does it. It's
I think I'm
actually
just like personally resistant as an old person. I'm like, I have a lot of skills. I can get around the world without a navigator. I can read a map. I'm good people. Like I'm gonna function when you're all failing. I want to maintain some skills.
Into what makes sense for you and your audience, you know what I mean? So that,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
You can still take that idea a little bit, and if it's not a Claude doing it, you could go in on TikTok and read little components of the book, almost
Yeah,
that
there you go.
storytelling.
I like that, Adelia, that little workaround. Look at you.
Still meet
Oh.
both.
We have a question for both of you ladies. What is one marketing decision or investment that has made the biggest impact on growth in your experience?
Marketing decision or investment. I can go first on this one. And Courtney will probably like this answer. I think the best decision you can make is having the right partner. So if you are working with an agency, right, or you're building out a big activation, right? Like there's a lot of partners that do it really, really well, that are great partners, right? A lot of big brands have to use agencies to show up and to Courtney's point, build that digital strategy, right? Build that experiential component. Like we don't do that all in-house often. So we search for the right partners, and that investment pulls through in the deliverables that partner has, right? So, I mean, you can see ROI that's generates for years based off this one thing that you chose the right partner and you built the right experience that people still talk about today. So I think it's like, it's really making your dollars work smart for you. And there's a ton of agencies out there, like doing your research, finding the partner that's listening to you, that's within your budget. You know, some people will quote you. I've had quotes for a 10 by 10 booth space. They're like, yeah, it's going to be $60,000. Or I can get it done for $5,000 with a partner that wants repeated business, that believes in the brand, and they can still execute in the same way. It's just a lot cheaper. So I think it's, you know, for me, it's like I invest in the people that invest back in us, right? That I understand, like they understand what we're trying to do. We have common goals. I feel very confident in that, but that's shown me, that's been the biggest return for me, is finding the right partners for those big moments.
I think I would second that really. It is who in the industry am I going to connect with that we can unlock growth for each other. Um, there's been a variety of different, you have so many conferences you could go to, but selecting the right ones that really are going to be the best for pushing your business forward instead of just inundating you with people and things that might distract you, I think is a big one for me. And then, of course, I'm always thinking about growth digitally when I was thinking about this question. And honestly, it's building your long-term infrastructure and not just chasing short-term gains. Like I know from an advertising perspective, it's always really easy to want to be really focused on what's going to put money in my pocket now. And yes, you 100% need that, but you also need that brand layer, that engagement layer, that SEO layer that's going to help your business set your business apart from the competition. You got to make sure that you connect in a unique way, your unique value prop. There you go.
So, how do you help your teams shift from viewing marketing as an expense to truly understanding it as a growth driver?
I love this one. I think that shift happens when marketing becomes tied to business outcomes. I mentioned that earlier. It's not just activities, right? Like you're going to get distracted by all of the things that are on your list that you need to do that are marketing related, but you need to really think about, what am I trying to accomplish? What is that main goal? And what are the pieces that I need to execute in order to get there? And just let everything else kind of not fall to the floor, but put it in a parking lot. So if marketing is only reporting on impressions or posting frequency, it's easy for leadership to view that as a discretionary expense and it's going to get cut. But when marketing can show impact on revenue pipeline, customer acquisition, retention, repeat purchases, right? Purchase frequency, that's when the conversation changes. I always think about, how do I position this so my CFO is going to say, here, take more money. You're doing a great job. The CFO is going to be the biggest one to really guard that budget, right? So you really want to make sure that you're tying everything to a solid KPI. Instead of thinking about how much does marketing cost, you want to think of, what's the cost of becoming invisible? That's what I like to say. Yeah. Marketing, man, we have it hard in my department.
Well, and to add on to that, I think too, that people often forget, right? Like we can build an amazing trade program that has snowboards and goggles and all these giveaways and beautiful digital, but like we have to, like as marketers, recap that information, right? So if you invest, upfront, you build a beautiful trade program and you're spending $50,000, the CFO is going to say, hey, I don't mind if you spend 50 if you show me you made 150, right? Mm-hmm. So I think recapping, right? Pulling in the data, looking at growth. Is it month over month, right? Is it year over year? Like what are you measuring? And then to Courtney's point too, really aligning and goal setting in front of that program or in front of that event, right? We want 500 new emails. We want $250,000 in orders. We want to, do X amount of promotional dollars. So it's aligning on the goals before anything happens so that you understand what that investment is, because every dispensary and every third party, everyone wants a sponsorship, right? Hey, we need a food truck. We need a $1,500. We're doing our parking lot event, right? So like everyone is going to be asking for things. And when you're on a tight budget, what are the things that you're actually going to do? You can't say yes to everybody, right? But you can set a clear strategy and say, hey, we're doing this because there's 1,000 bud tenders coming. We're going to get all their data. We're going to, like it's really goal setting in advance of whatever the activity or event is or the spend, and then recapping it on the back end. People just, I've just had this conversation with my whole team. It's like, we want to always be recapping. That's the most important part, is showing the results so that we can make the internal decision. Do we do this again or not? Did it work? Right? Because otherwise you're spinning your wheels. You're going to keep making these investments. But like, if you can't prove that that it generated revenue and that it worked, then what's the point, right? So recapping is very, very important.
I saw both me and Paris's face with that comment of, what's the cost of being invisible?
We were like, that's a good one. That was a good one.
It really was.
Man. I like that. I got to write that
That's
down.
held sway in my favor when I really need to pass.
Well, I think we can wrap up with the.
Yes, I think it's time for us to take our group photo with you all. And then whoever'd like to be on the photo, now's a great time. Get your camera turned on. We can't wait to see everybody on here.
Let's give it a moment. And let's do it this way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to put their camera off? There we go. Thank you. Hi, Kathleen. Are you traveling right now? Oh, okay. Okay. Oops. I'll be quiet. Okay, everybody's ready. 1, 2, ready? There we go. 1, 2, and hold. All right. Think I got us.
As always, it was great to connect with all you wonderful ladies. Thank you for sharing space with us, sharing your wins and updates. We love cheering for each of you. And that's what this space is all about, supporting each other. Thank you so much again. And we can't wait till the next Blunt Bunch virtual table coming up in a few weeks.